Hello. I hope you guys can see me now. Let's refresh. Hello.
Yes.
I hope you guys can see me now. Let's refresh. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. You guys can see me now. Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me? 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 Hello. Can you guys hear me? Hello. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Hello. Hello. Okay, so you can't hear me. Let's see. Hello. Hello. Okay, so you can't hear me. Let's try something else. Let's see. Hello. Okay, so what about now? Let's try something else. Let's see. Hello. Okay, so what about now? Let's try something else. Let's Hello. Okay, so what about now? The video is a bit laggy for some reason. What about now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy for some reason. What about now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy for some reason. What about now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy for some reason. What about now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy for some reason. What about now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy for some reason. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy. Just trying to make this audio work for some reason. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy. Just trying to make this audio work. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? The video is a bit laggy. Just trying to make this audio work. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I'm sorry for that. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? I'm sorry for that. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Yeah, I guess my video is lagging a lot. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello? Yeah, I guess my video is lagging a lot. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? ഹലോ എന്താ അമ്മ? അല്ല, ഞാൻ യൂട്യൂബ് ചെയ്യുക. അയച്ച് തിരക്കാം, ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം ചെയ്യാം. എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ പിന്നെ വിളിക്കാം. ആ ആ, ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്. Try something else. Something else. How is it now? 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 What about now? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Hello? Sorry for the technical issues. It's my first time streaming. I'm just trying to figure things out. Sorry for the technical issues. It's my first time streaming. I'm just trying to figure things out. Hi, Thomas Cherul. Okay. Can you guys hear me? No? You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me? No? You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me? No? You can't hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello. 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 Can you guys hear me correctly now, or is it still bad? Can you guys hear me correctly now, or is it still bad? Let me just switch on the fan, see how that affects the audio. Now, or is it still bad? Let me just switch on the fan, see how that affects the audio. Now, or is it still bad? Let me just switch on the fan, see how that affects the audio. Let me just switch on the fan, see how that affects the audio. Okay, it's repeating, but better than last time. Not sure where it's picking up the audio from. Let me see if this is the case. How is it now? It's repeating, but better than last time. Not sure where it's picking up the audio from. Let me see if this is the case. How is it now? It's repeating, but better than last time. Not sure where it's picking up the audio from. Let me see if this is the case. How is it now? It's repeating, but better than last time. Not sure where it's picking up the audio from. Let me see if this is the case. How is it now? So anyway, let's start, I guess. So welcome guys to the first live stream um, of Jetnautics. So anyway, let's start, I guess. Um, so welcome guys to the first live stream um, of Jetnautics. So anyway, let's start, I guess. Um, so welcome guys to the first live stream um, of Jetnautics. So anyway, let's start. Let me see if the camera is picking up the audio. So welcome guys to the first live stream of Jetnautics. So anyway, let's start. Let me see if the camera is picking up the audio. Let me see if the camera is picking up the audio. Let me see if the camera is picking up the audio. Hello, how is it now? 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 Is it repeating again? Let me just see if it's repeating. It's repeating. It's repeating. All good? All good? So, all good? So it's still repeating a little, right? But I guess it's fine. Um, so guys, thank you guys for tuning in. It means a lot that so you guys have spared your time to watch me talk about the channel. Um, so I just wanted to start this live stream to basically go through, let's say, what the channel is, where it started, and what's going to happen for going forward. You guys can ask your questions like, um, you know, how if you guys have any questions to basically go through, let's say, what the channel is, where it started, and what's going to happen for going forward. You guys can ask your questions like. So, this channel, I'll just tell you guys a brief rundown of how I got into aeromodeling. So, I started when I was in ninth grade. I think it was 2014 or 13. I started looking into airplanes a lot, and then I stumbled upon flight test. So flight test, if you don't know, is uh, a YouTube channel that specializes in scratch built aeromodeling kits. So I saw them make a lot of airplanes, and that inspired me to try make my own. And that's what you see here. That is a flight test guinea pig. It's a mini cargo plane. It doesn't fly. That's because I just made it as a model, just to understand how that aircraft is built together. So from that time, I wanted to make videos, mainly because whatever flight test used to explain is only pretty much relevant for the American market. In India, that time you couldn't even get any of the parts uh, they were saying. Um, yeah, I will answer the questions. Uh, let's go give you guys a brief introduction, then I'll just go to questions. Um, So then I wanted to start a YouTube channel that kind of explains, let's say, remodeling in terms of the Indian market, let's say how to bring things together, because a lot of the things that, let's say, flight test uh, uh, it shows you how to build is from the US market. So you can't get the same amount of materials that you get in US in India. So I wanted to solve that issue where, I can guide my viewers and let's say other people on how to make it work in India. So that's how things started. My first video was in 2016. It was I had gotten a gift of a RC plane from a family friend of mine, and I needed to change the props. So there was no uh, video on YouTube on how to change the props. Nor was it there in the manual. So then I figured it out, and then I made my first video. So that's how this whole YouTube channel started. Um, so that's pretty much it about the beginning. Uh, I'm still getting a lot of questions. I will go through them for sure. Um, and yeah, so that's how it started. I did make a few planes. And if you've seen, I've made some flight videos in the YouTube channel. We do have Instagram. It's called Jetnautics Official. Um, you guys can find it in my For You page in YouTube. And also, we do have Facebook as well. So you guys can get regular updates on what's happening. Um, so yeah, that's basically an intro. Uh, if you guys, okay, drones is the first question. Um, so uh, I I do have a drone with me. If you guys have, I don't think I've shown this to you. So this is my custom FPV drone. Uh, so this has a 4K camera and a standard definition 100, I think it was 1000 TV line. It's a Cadex Ratel 2. So this is my drone, and okay, I'll go to the questions directly because I feel like George and Alex really wants to know the answers. I'll see if I can answer to the best of my knowledge. I may not be able to give you guys uh, a full solution. Uh, so question is, when we flew out our drone, we were facing issue with our receiver. We couldn't able to make a stable connection. Please provide a solution. We use FSI6X. Okay. I also used to have the FSI6S on this. It's pretty much the same protocol, the AFT HS2A. I used the IS6B receiver before I moved to an ELRS receiver. So why did I move to ELRS? Basically because of the same issue that you told me. Like there was some connection problems. Um, but that was after a crash I had.
so I was getting some radio problems. I attributed that to the antenna that slightly came out. It was kind of damaged after a crash. So then I started having a lot of breakups. Uh, that was one reason. And FSI 6S, it's good for, let's say, I guess, RC planes. You do get, I think, around 2 kilometers of range. I've never actually done a range test, but for RC planes, it's well and good. But after I had a crash, then I started facing receiver issues. So instead of changing the receiver, I just changed the whole module since ELRS is known to be the gold standard of FPV drones. So that's basically what I did. You could do one thing. Okay, Pixhawk 2.4.8 was the problem. Uh, okay, is it Xtan X45X? I guess facing the same issue or is it different? Because Georgian Alex, I think he's using um, are you using an FPV drone or is it uh, with the Pixhawk? So FSI 6X sometimes it does lose a little range, but it will pick up. Um, but you have to be careful as well. Okay, it crashed into the sewage. Okay. So my question is, did the autopilot hit radio failsafe, or did it just lose signal all of a sudden? What really happened? Because there should be some message, right? Some message as to what happened. Because when I was flying my FPV drone, in my FPV feed, I saw radio failsafe, so I knew it was the receiver. No, so you hit radio failsafe. Um, it just went out of it. So radio failsafe, I think. So I'm using Betaflight on this. This is not Ardu Pilot. I'm sorry, guys. My stream just went. Yes. So my question is, did you analyze the logs because you're using a Pixhawk, right? Are you running Ardu Pilot, some version, Ardu Rotor? Um, so you should get a message if such a radio failsafe happened. In Betaflight, if radio failsafe hit, what I've programmed it to, it will just drop. Since that time my drone did not have GPS, I have installed it now so that I can use a return to home on Betaflight. Um, but it really depends on what settings you put in Ardu Pilot on, let's say, what happens in case of a radio failsafe. So radio failsafe, you can set it to return to land. That's one option. But um, uh, if it's going out of control, then maybe it could be an autopilot issue, right? That's what I think X10X 45X told. But in that receiver was not the issue. Pixel 2.45, 4.8 was a problem. A lot of the Pixhawk 2.4.8, those smaller modules that you get, some are like copies of the original. So, you know, they're not that reliable in terms of hardware. So they have a high failure rate. If you're getting a 2.4 if you want a good autopilot, then I recommend going for, let's say, a cube autopilot. But if that's out of your budget, there's plenty of other autopilots that are still good. Matrix Systems is good. If you want multiple IMUs, then you guys can also try Pixhawk 6C. This is from Holybro, Pixhawk Holybro 6C or Pix 32. These were all good. Yeah, a copy. Yeah, that's one reason that you should avoid copies. And plus the Pixhawk 2.4.8 is a really old flight controller. It's using really old hardware, and I I guess it could be an IMU failure or something. But you guys should check the logs to really understand what's wrong with your autopilot. Um, that's if you've enabled logging on your SD card. If not, then it's really difficult to do. Okay, I'll go to the next question. Uh, what was the next question? Which flight controller did I use? So I've used for autonomous drones. I've mainly used Pixhawk Cube Orange Plus. Um, they're very reliable, and if you set it up correctly, then there's very less chance that your aircraft will crash. Next question. So on this, I'm using an autopilot called I think it's um, Neutron RC 8032. So I did have a Foxier um, autopilot. I wouldn't call it an autopilot. I would say it's just a flight controller since it can't do much autonomous stuff. Um, so that actually blew up. It's a Foxier F722. So now I've installed an 8435 Neutron RC 8435. So just to give you guys an idea, the Foxier F722 cost around I think 4.5K that time. This is half the price, but the same amount of performance. So it's right around 2,500 or 2,300 rupees. Um, Next question, I'll go to Siam Krishna Z90. Want mini talent plans? Um, I don't have mini talent. I've not looked into that. I know what militanl is. It's autonomous aircraft autopilot, basically a fixed wing aircraft. Um, are you asking for, let's say, foam board mini talent plans, or let's say the actual kit? You could try, let's say, Cults 3D, 3D printing, uh, let's say, sort of websites where they actually provide you printable STL files. That's one way you could do it if you're willing to, let's say, spend, I think, 2,000 rupees. I'm not sure exactly what the price of the Minital is, but you could find it on Cults 3D, on printables, things like that. I personally don't have any mini talent plans that I could provide you with. Uh, so, yeah. Next question. Uh, I use FlySky TX in FPV drone and lost signal and it went into sky and gone. Okay, so yes, FlySky transmitters do have some issues in FPV drones. You tend to lose signal a little fast. Um, so let me just adjust this so that so in FPV drone, if you're using beta flight, then you need to set up radio failsafes. And the way I did it, I had the same issue. So it lost connection after a crash, and it just dived down. It just shut down. So instead of it flying away, I set it up in my beta flight configurator that if I lose signal, all the motors just shut down. So it drops like a rock, but at least you can salvage your drone or fix it. But if it just flies away, then I'm sorry. Sorry that happened. But I think the most important thing you have to do is set up your drone in the event of a failure. And if you can add a GPS, you can program it to do return to land. So let's say if your radio signal dies off, then this will just fly from wherever it is and automatically come to home position. So that's one thing you could do. Uh, Next question, which flight controller are you using? Yes, as I mentioned before, I'm using um, the Neutron RC 8435. That's the exact specification of the flight controller. So it has the same performance as an F722 flight controller, but half the price. And it has everything you need. So basically it works. Next thing, F405 flight controller supports Ardu Pilot for fixed wing. Yes. Um, Not exactly sure what you mean. Are you asking what flight F405 flight controllers? Can you mention the flight controllers? Uh, yes, I think I think the most common one is the Omnibus S405. It's a pretty old flight controller, but you can also look into Maytech systems. They support Ardu Pilot. Otherwise, I think the best option is the SpeedDB. I think someone mentioned that. SpeedDB F405 does have Ardu Pilot support, um, but you'll have to check. Um, Maytech is there. Maytech is a really good one. SpeedDB has a lot of features for the price. I think it's a very high value for money. Are you thinking of buying F405 V4 stack 55 amp, 60 amp for fixed wing or for a, let's say, a drone? Yeah, but those old model flight controllers are still kind of reliable, especially the Omnibus. They're pretty good if you just want to check a few things. But if you want to, let's say, if you have a higher budget, then go for something like a Matrix systems. You can never go wrong with Matrix systems. They're very high end. They're very high end flight controllers. SpeedDB supports all three firmware. Yes, that's good. Yeah, SpeedDB I think does autopilot and I think Betaflight and INAV. So yeah, and I think there was another question. What uh, let's say what FPV goggles I use? I have my FPV goggles. I'll just take it out. I actually use the SkyZone Cobra SD. Let me just get this out. Sorry guys. So this is my FPV goggles. This is an analog FPV goggle. There, it's not HD, so it's not going to be as expensive, but the quality is not going to be as good as well. Uh, so this one feature that I really like about this, it's very compact. The screen is actually not at the front; it's on top. So there's like a mirror that reflects it. So it's not as bulky as something like I think the ESC EV800Ds. They're kind of long. Yes, you can take the screen off in the ESC EV800Ds, um, but these are really good. Um, I did get this through a friend abroad. I didn't buy it here because it was pretty expensive. I think it was 15, 14, 16K, but the actual price was I think 10K. So I got this for 9K from abroad, but it's really good. If you guys can see, it's got really good um, visuals. Yeah, you have three power sources. You can plug it via a, let's say, you have a battery case here that's for an I think 18650, and then you have a DC input where you can plug in your battery. I do have some different antennas for this. I'm not using the standard antenna. I have, let's say, this patch antenna, and I have one more of these omnidirectional antennas. So that's basically it about the FPV calls. If you guys want to know more about this, I'll make a video in detail. This does have head tracking, so you can use it for FPV planes. So if you move your head along with, uh, if you move your head here, then the camera angle also moves. If you provide a servo and some channels for that. Um, I have basically done that, but I haven't made a video about it yet. So basically, this is my um, setup where I'll just mount the camera here. You guys can see. And when I move my head, this will also move. So I'll go to the next question. Uh, I talked a lot about the goggles. Um, I have Tanmay Paul 06. Hey bro, why don't you make videos on maiden flights? Please post some maiden flights videos we want to see and build more plane and do the maiden. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's in the pipeline. I want to, let's say, make some more videos, but the problem is currently I don't have any flyable airplanes with me. That doesn't fly. And the old airplane that used to fly, the FT Scout, that's kind of destroyed. Um, if you guys have seen my Edge 540 video, uh, I made that video a few years ago, but I recently uploaded it because that's when I got time to edit it. But the plane is not with me right now. It's in Bangalore, so I need to pick it up from there to be able to fly it. It still hasn't flown yet. No maidens done on that, but I've painted it as well. So I'll show you guys how I painted it. It's pretty cool. Um, I'll show you guys an image later on if I can. The next question. Best way to find lost drone like GPS sim based that we can find XLF location when it goes out of control. Like GPS model, sim based. Simulation based? I'm not sure what you're exactly asking. Like for okay, 4G sim based. Okay, there is a module. Basically, suppose if you had a car and you lost, someone stole your car, an actual car vehicle. There is these modules that you can. I think this is called car GPS trackers or something. So all you need to do is just power that GPS module. It has a backup battery, so even if your drone crashes and it runs out of battery, that module will still emit a signal. So there's a SIM attached to that, and then what do you say? It connects to your phone. There's some app. If you can find that on Amazon, I think it's called Car GPS Tracker or something. You might have to just check it out, but yeah, it does exist, and I've used it before for a drone specifically for that purpose. So yeah, I'll just get this bug off the lens. Okay. Uh, Basel Day, have you any idea what will the import duties be for VR04 HD and Meteor 75P1? VR05 HD, I guess you're talking about uh, the, the FPV goggles. Let me just check what VR05 HD exactly is. I've heard of it, but let me just confirm before answering the question. Okay, this is the beta FPV. Okay, I think this is the new goggles. I'm not very familiar with these. Um, Import duties are kind of, I'm not exactly sure, but it's generally, I think, 30 to 40% of the price of the product. Uh, so you guys will need to pay that upfront import duty, I guess, at customs. But it's also really pretty risky importing things now from China. So if you don't have experience, um, let's say importing things, I don't really recommend you try it because there's a high chance whatever you pay for sometimes can get blocked at customs. Because nowadays, since FPV drones are used in defense as well, they may see this as a defense import. So the clearance required might be higher. So sometimes they might just confiscate it and not give it to you. So that's a major problem. Uh, yeah. So I would recommend if you can just, I'm not sure how much these cost. If let's say you want a box goggle, I'm not sure what's on the Indian market right now. I think Cadex has a box goggle. If you want to use it, if you want to have, let's say, yeah, I think Voxnail, sorry, not Cadex. Voxnail Avatar HD. If you want to use a box goggle HD goggle, sorry. Um, Meteor 75P1. Let me see what that is. 75 P1. Okay, this is the small whoop drones. Okay, I would recommend you try to source it locally. I think you can get it. Not exactly sure if it's there here, but DRK store, quad card, a few people have that. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I think 2Jo RC has it. FPVguru.in, Reese52. You might need to check those out. If you guys want me to do, let's say, a detailed breakdown of, let's say, what all the websites that you can source parts from, then I'll happily do that in detail. Let's say going through DRK store, Quadcart, and just rating them according to, let's say, how reliable they are and the prices. So let's question one detailed video mission planner for RC fixed wing tutorial autonomous flight. I would love to do that, but Syam Krishna is at 90. The problem is currently I don't have an autopilot with me as of now, where I can actually, let's say, demonstrate how to do it. If I did, I would have done it. Uh, I do actually want to do that, so hopefully in the future I might just purchase a autopilot and do that for you. Might be a Speedy F405, something that you guys can also purchase. Not very expensive, not too fancy, and let's say do the same thing that I. Thanks, man, for the insight. Thank you very much, Basil Day. Radio Master got a Radio Master Pocket practicing some scan. That's a very good approach, Basil. What you're doing instead of, let's say, purchasing a drone right away, you've bought a TX and are practicing the sim. Um I'll tell you guys how I started. I started with the phone. I didn't have a TX, and it's only very recently that I had a TX that I could actually connect to the sim. The FSI6S that I had didn't have it, so I think there was an app called um, it was an RC plane app simulator. Not exactly sure what it was called, but I basically learned how to fly airplanes on that app. So the thing with, let's say, line of sight flying is you kind of have to predict what the aircraft will do based on your input. Since you're not in the pilot's view, or let's say the first person viewpoint, you're mostly doing line of sight. You kind of have to predict that, and I think that app really helped me to, understand how the aircraft will react. So basically, that helped me a lot when I did my first maiden flight. So it didn't feel like, I'm flying my first aircraft. I did the same for FPV drones as well. I learned how to fly FPV drones using an FPV free rider. I think that's the app. That was really helpful. It was also very cheap since it was free. So yeah. So how much we can get RP1 ELS receiver for Radio Master Pocket? I think it's around 1,500 to 2,000 rupees, anywhere in between. Sometimes it might be cheaper, but I'm not sure exactly which receiver I have. Could be the RP one. I'll try to zoom in if you guys can see, but it's I'll try focusing. So that's the receiver I have. I'm not sure if it's RP1 or RP2, but single antenna could be I think RP1 V2. I think it's RP1 V2. Not exactly sure. I'll have to check again. It's been a long time. Yeah, range is around 1,500 to 2,000. I guess the prices might have increased because the value of rupee keeps on crashing. So since most of the things are imported, USD rates, will be higher. So it might have increased. Yes, we would be great. Sourcing is confusing. Yeah, it's sourcing is one of the main skills that I think you need to develop as an FPV or let's say an air modeling hobbyist, since you could end up spending much less if you know where to look for and you know how to compare basically uh, different websites. So what I generally do is, let's say if there's a camera, let's say for example the Cadex Ratel 2. Suppose if this costs $20, and when I basically convert it from the main website, that is the Chinese website. It'll be listed in dollars, and I convert it to rupees. And let's say it's 2,500 rupees. So I'll look for the vendor that has the closest price to the original price. That's one way. Um, there are some, let's say, people who you can source separately from that are not on websites. That's some insider information. They'll, sell that directly to you. Uh, any other questions, guys? What could I talk about? Uh, yeah, I'll show you my TX if that's something you guys want to see. Um, I'm using a Radiomaster TX16S with an external module. So I'll just put the antenna. So this is the external module, if you guys can see. I think this is a Radiomaster Ranger. And if I power it on. So I got this from Robu for pretty good deal. So the actual listing price of this was 200 USD. I got it for exactly that from Robu. There was some offer or discount. The actual price they were listing for before was I think 20K. So saved 4K on this. So pretty good radio. The reason I got this radio was because it has so much switches and functions, plus the touchscreen. But for FPV, I don't think you guys really need this many switches, and plus it's very bulky and not very easy to take along with you. So if you guys are purely looking for an FPV TX, I highly recommend the Boxer. That is one, and I think the T15, there's a new radio that came from Radio Master that basically takes all the features of this, but shrinks that similar to the Boxer. So yeah, um, I hope I'm still streaming, guys. Okay, I'm having some problem. Hello, is my audio there? Or can you guys see me? I think something's wrong with the stream. Yeah, I'm having some network issues. Let's see if I can switch networks. Sorry guys, I think facing some issues again. I think mainly network. I'll just try to get it fixed up. But if you guys can hear me, then I'll still continue. I think I think I'll just look through the phone and answer questions. What's your most expensive build? Okay, so the FPV drone is actually my most expensive build. That's the most I spent on, let's say, a project. I think just the drone itself, without, let's say, the camera, cost me around 25 to 30K. The rest of the things were, let's say, the TX, everything else together. Um, Sorry, I'm getting some verification issues. I hope you guys can still see me. And it's showing me some errors here and there. So yeah, I'll just continue answering your questions. Something's up with the stream, but yeah, I'll try my best to keep it flowing. It's already 9:30, but yeah, if you guys have more questions, I'm still here to answer. Um, do you guys have any more questions, or let me see if I've missed any. Mm, yes. So any more questions, or what should we do? Um, what else can I show you guys? Uh, do you guys know the story behind the logo? This logo. Basically, I was really into RC jets more than RC planes or drones. So that's the whole point. I called it Jet Nautics. It was called Jet School before, and then I changed the name because school just sounded not very nice. Um, so basically, I still love RC jets because the way they sound and the way they perform. So this is actually one of the EDFs that I had bought a long time ago. I still haven't made an RC plane yet for this, an RC jet, which is something that I really want to do. This is actually imported from China. This was before, let's say, the Chinese trade war in 2019. I had to wait 1 month for this. I got this from Banggood, but now I think it's a lot more difficult to do such a thing, and you'll have to pay a lot of import tax. I luckily didn't have to do any of that, and the customs didn't hold my item. So this is the FMS 70mm EDF. Um, so question, Nitin MR, when are you planning on getting your blue aircraft from Bangalore? Mainly, maybe next month. I'll have to see if I can get for RC aircraft, and I think if you just enter your wing platform and a few things, then you'll get your CG. Um, but in general, I think 1/3 of the wing should give you the right CG, and not exactly sure how it affects for a swept wing. Um, but yeah, I think the best thing is to see online if there's some calculated this if you have a custom aircraft. So yeah, I think the internet is having some issues. I'll just try reconnecting once more. If you guys have any other questions, I'll quickly go through them. Um, Otherwise, we'll end the stream. And maybe I plan to do this like every once in a month so that you guys can post your So yeah. Okay, you got any vector thingy stuff? They seem fine. Yes, vector thingy is pretty decent. I guess their motors are good. But you kind of have to judge, let's say, between the cost of, let's say, getting vector techniques motor and are you can you get a T motor propulsion system. ESCs, I'm not very sure. I've never tested them. Props are pretty good. They're kind of good from made in India. Whatever, vector techniques is pretty good. So yeah. I think I'll end the stream soon because the network seems to go down again and again. I'm not sure why. It's first time the network's becoming this bad. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and asking so many questions. I'm really happy that at least this much people showed up, and a lot of questions. I hope I've answered as much as I can, and I hope you guys got some info on what to do next. Um, But yeah, you guys can post these questions, I think. Bye bye.